So it's 4 o'clock. So we welcome.
Yippee!
Yippee! The official moment is here.
Yeah.
Celebrate
Wow.
International Day of Peace, though the official day is tomorrow, Monday, the 21st. But we did always choose in previous years the weekend, just as it is more convenient for people to join in. But we will repeat tomorrow the videos, the talks, the presentations from wonderful, inspiring people. So Brian, you want some?
Yeah, sure. I'll just have a few words here because I'm juggling a lot of different tasks right now, even though it doesn't look that way. It looks like everything is just fine and peaceful here. How to calm the interior space is what we really hope that through all of the speakers that we have, that you'll find some really great skills to incorporate into your world to bring about greater peace and harmony. And as we're doing this live, we're beyond our Ojai International Day of Peace, which is really exciting. And given that this is our first time doing this live, we're learning. And if there's some technical problems that show up, please forgive us for our beginning stage of sharing this Day of Peace with you. So we have, in the last 5 years, as Ojai International City of Peace, held a public celebration of the Day of Peace. And so, as Lisa mentioned, we've done that on Sundays, the day before Peace Day, or even after Peace Day, depending upon how it falls in the calendar. So we wanted to bring this to you today. And I thank all of you who will be participating throughout the time that we're showing these interviews and prayers and blessings. So Lisa, do you want to give a little background?
I want to bring in our awareness that really around the world there are peace weeks, peace weekend. So there are many, 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 many people around the globe celebrating and connecting with Peace Day, International Peace Day. I'd like to bring to our awareness that this year we have the 75th anniversary of this United Nations International Peace Day. The UN General Assembly declared this as a day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace, both within and among all nations. So peace, as we know, has many layers, from personal to global peace. And for sure, 2020 is confronting us with really great challenges. A global pandemic, political polarization, social injustice, systemic racism, climate change, and many other that humanity faces currently. So it brings up significant uncertainty for so many people around the world. And all these issues highlight also our interconnectedness and importance of the 2020 Peace Day theme, Shaping Peace Together. Now, the theme was chosen a year ago, not knowing that we would hit with the pandemic and all the other big issues, but how present the theme is. It seems like it's a so needed reminder for the necessity of cooperation across borders, cultures, races, continents, sectors, and generations. We need to come together as one global family to discuss how we can work together more effectively to manage the challenging issues. And it starts with each of us, as the Dalai Lama points out. World peace begins with inner peace. How do I shape my world? What do I want my world to look like? and where to start? These are the questions I daily confront myself with. But today I really want to use Peace Day and the whole Peace and Weekend and week as an invitation and reminder to look within and to find this inner peace. As more people come together in their hearts, together we extend the waves of peace and transformation across the planet, co-creating a new paradigm of true global unity. All are needed and all are invited. Let me conclude with the words from John Lennon. Peace is not something you wish for. It is something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away. So welcome to the Ojai International Day of Peace 2020. Ryan and I will now guide you through a approximately 3-hour program with amazing, inspiring speakers and music we all recorded the last days. So join in and spread the peace.
Thank you, Lisa. I brings tears to my eyes how touching it is to have a partner like you. Your words are really touching home. This is quite a time. No one's ever had an experience like we're living through right now. So with that, we would really want to share prayers and blessings from our beloved Shumash elder, Julie Tuamite Stensley. So I'm going to share my screen. And okay, here she comes.
Greetings. My name is Julie Tuamite Stensley, and I am here to offer some words and some prayers for the Ojai Valley International Day of Peace. I'm honored to be asked and to represent our family, Native Chumash people here in the Ojai Valley. It is a very hard time that we are facing, and with so much that has happened this year, we give our deepest and sincerest prayers to those that have lost family members during this time, to all the elements that have happened, and to those inadvertent diseases and viruses that have come through, and in other forms of people that have passed on or that are on that cusp right now, whether it be just natural causes, accidents, murders that have happened in this horrible time that we are facing. The viruses that have come through, the fires, the floods, all those things that are telling us to wake up, that's telling us to come together. And as humans, we make these choices to go the other way in some cases. We are praying desperately for people to come back to the center, to come back to that place of forgiveness, for learning, for to learn our teachings and to bring back that sense of humanity that has been lost over these decades, and where we are seeing a repeat of some of the most and worst and ugliest times of our history, of people hating one another, that we ask for mercy when it comes to that, and that people can step outside of that hate and that greed and that lust for power and greed. This time of Hutash is a place where we should be able to recognize this coming of the end of the year, to where I know people don't probably want to hear this, but a time to sit back and rest and reflect on so many things that we have to look back at and see what we can learn from all those things that have happened in this year, and what we can envision and see for a new year. And that we share some of our words from our ancient ones at this time of Hutash. Here, where we live, is Hutash. You know that each body has its place where the sense of feeling is. All mankind live in the sphere of Hutash. The sphere of Hutash is everything that contains the human race. And for the Indians, the sphere of Hutash is the land. All are born of the earth, and the sun revivifies all creatures. That is where the word love triumphs. Love is a basic motivation. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Now we are going to approach this act. We shall all know that which happens and the significance of Hutash. You can never separate that which is born of your soul, your mind, and your emotions. Then you will be all powerful. Then you will be powerful in everything. And when we go back to the land, that has been our only real solace in this place, in this time of this pandemic, is that when people are finding the earth, finding the land, finding the water, it hasn't always been approached in a respectful way, and it upsets that balance as well. So we've had to make, again, barriers and barricades to protect our land, to protect our other beings that live out in the land. I want to share another prayer that has been spoken in our Ojai Church of the Wild. We've been going now for, I guess now we're on, for when I started, going to be on our third year. It's coming soon. But this is a call to prayer, that we look at outside ourselves again, and to look to where we've come and where we must go into our future, into this place. We stand as a people who have lost our sense, and our senses, our touch, our smell, our vision of who we are. We who frantically force and press all things without rest for body or spirit, hurting our earth and injuring ourselves. We call a halt. We want to rest. We need to rest and allow the earth to rest. We need to reflect and to rediscover that mystery that lives in us. This is the ground of every unique expression of life, the source of the fascination that calls all things to communion. We declare a Sabbath, even for these few hours, a space of quiet, for being and allowing, for recovering the great forgotten truth, for remembering how to live again. Aho. Amen. There is so much that we need to go back to. We can start over. We can revisit our spirit, our strength as Indigenous peoples around the world, as men and women, as adults, because it is the children that need to hear us in this place of common sense, in this place of truth. And truth has many ways and many paths, and people find that path in many ways, but truth is different for many different people. But I think the true truth is how to be good to one another, how to go back to our teachings in whatever form, whether it is in your indigenous forms or if it's in your organized religious paths and choices and commandments that are there in the world today. We call upon our ancestral strength, Creator, that we look to help our earth rejuvenate itself after all this devastation, that we help one another, our brothers and sisters that have suffered and have been displaced for so many different reasons, that we look to help our animal spirits and our animal people, our brothers and sisters out here in our native lands that are suffering, that are displaced, or their ashes now on the ground. It is such a sad and hard time that we are facing. Creator, let us be able to find that place of peace and joy. And one way to do that is to serve, is to be of service. So Creator, bring to us, each one of us, that place of service, of where we can most excel in our strength, and in our physical strength, in our mental strength, in our spiritual strength, that we can look outside of ourselves to help those that are in need. May we call upon the rains in a persistent yet gentle way to help put out these fires, and other places where the waters are excessive, that they recede and stop the floodings and the winds to subside, that forces the flames of the fires and the winds and the hurricanes, that we can see that balance of the earth come back, that we can start learning how to take care of our earth, and not look at other ways to explore our outer space. That we have done so much damage here, I can only imagine what we can do out in outer space, that we can hold this earth, and it can teach us still so many things, that we are looking forward to a new year, that we can enter the actions of life again, that we may sustain ourselves in a much more natural way, that we can look to the sustaining our lands, to all the creativity that this pandemic has forced people into learning new things, that we can, through that time and through that creativity, that we can help one another. It's amazing what we can do when there's nothing else to do but rely on ourselves, that we are resilient. We pray for that peace, Creator. We pray for the strength and the courage, that this is not the first time these things have happened. So let's rely on our dream time to help us through. Let's rely on one another. Let's pray for one another. Let's treat each other as brothers and sisters and connected to all living beings. We pray for peace. Woyo, woyo. Thank you to all our relations.
These are beautiful, wise words, Julie Tumamai. Thank you so much, like reminding us to be good to each other, helping each other, being in service, and staying in balance. And yeah, all these inspiring words also to call to our responsibility to that we have to fix what we caused here to Mother Earth and in nature. So precious. Thank you for the blessing, Julie.
Well, so next up we have the founder and executive director of International Cities of Peace, Fred Arment. And presently there are 285 International Cities of Peace. And back in 2014, we became the 99th. So I'm going to share the screen again and pull up Fred's talk. So please bear with me. Okay.
Hello, I'd like to say greetings to all my friends in Ojai, California, Brian and Lisa Berman, lots of other people that are in the Peace Pod out there in California, International City of Peace for several years, and one of the stellar International Cities of Peace. Brian and Lisa are doing some work with our newsletter now and giving insight into the ideas around peace and compassion and empathy. And actually, empathy and compassion is what I like to use this time for today. I read an article about whether or not empathy was actually teachable and whether compassion was teachable, and I believe wholeheartedly that they are. And it has to do with our ancient ethic, an ethic that's been with us for millennia. Whenever the first person that decided that another person was having trouble and decided to do something for them, that was the beginning of the Golden Rule, and that was many, many years ago, and possibly the first human being, maybe the second or third, but definitely in the beginning. So the Golden Rule provides for International Cities of Peace, the organization I'm associated with, a way for all of the different ways of thinking, all the religions, all the spiritual effects can get together and realize that at the core, they not only don't have a real conflict, but they have a lot of similarities. So the Golden Rule gives us the ability, even beyond the culture of peace tenets from UNESCO, to allow people to get together. And I have just a quick example. A friend of mine wanted me to come in and teach the Golden Rule at a children's center. So I said, okay. And I decided to go in, and I made up this game where there was a circle racetrack, and the children would have to find ways to talk about compassion and something that they've done in order to get them a little bit further, and so that they together would win the race. It's kind of a non-competitive game. So I got ready and went in, and I didn't really think much about it, but all of a sudden I realized there are 4 sets of kids, 4 to 6 year olds, 7 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 to 17. And I had one game. So have a little compassion for me. That was a very interesting idea. So all these little kids, 4 to 6 year olds, come up very close to me, wondering, what I'm going to teach them today. And so I had this racetrack, and I said, what if a friend was thirsty? And a little girl immediately popped up and said, I'd give him a glass of water. And I said, great. So we moved a little thing closer. And pretty soon we were all the way around, and all the kids, screamed and yelled that they had succeeded in finding a compassionate way to win the race. So then the next group came in, the 6 to 9 year olds. And they were a little bit more sophisticated, and, they kind of kicked back a little bit. But basically, what if your mom was sad? And all of a sudden they say, well, bring her flowers, and then many, many others. And all that came very, very quickly. Kids are very compassionate. I'm not sure that all adults are compassionate, but they are teachable. So then the other groups came in, and it became more sophisticated, and they understood the idea, do for others what you would have them do for you. It's very simple. It's a very simple concept. That's why it gets demeaned in our society. It's very simple, but it's very, very profound, and it's highly teachable. And we've separated church from state, and so therefore we've sort of separated values from our school system. But the Golden Rule is a way to bring that back, and it's very, very highly teachable. So I want to communicate that we really need to take another look at the Golden Rule. It's very important to International Cities of Peace. We're going to achieve 300 International Cities of Peace by the end of this year. We're headed for 1,000 Cities of Peace, and you have empathy, the awareness of others, and compassion, looking at them as someone that you can relate to, and seeing their pain as something that you would also experience. And then compassionate action. If you feel it that you need to do it for you and for them, then you immediately take action. And that's where compassionate action comes in. And then the feeling of unity comes. And that's what we really need to achieve in order to achieve world peace. We need to see that sense of unity from empathy and compassion and compassionate action. So congratulations. As you commemorate International Day of Peace, think about how we can infuse the Golden Rule not only in society and the school system, but also in our hearts. Thank you. Have a good Peace Day.
Thank you, Fred, the founder of International City of Peace. And we heard he is going for 300 at the end of this year, and the goal is having 1,000 cities soon. And the International Cities of Peace, they're very local organized. It's a people's movement. It's not a government's movement. It's a grassroots movement. And in Africa, they might have the goal to have electricity in their community, or clean water, or strengthening the women's rights. So every community has their own agenda, and it's part of what the people who are passionate about want to bring to the community. So we are coming now back to Ojai, to our next interview and speaker. Ryan, you want to introduce Hans? So maybe just to the protocol.
Why don't you introduce Hans while I look for his interview?
Maybe you look for it and give me a sign if you're ready. So we interviewed Dr. Hans Grün, and he's a local physician, long-term experienced physician. We have the videos who will actually introduce the speaker. So I don't have to say more, just enjoy Dr. Hans Grün.
Okay, here he comes.
Wow, I'd like to welcome Dr. Hans Grün from Ojai. We are very, very excited to have Dr. Grün as part of our online Ojai Peace Day celebration with the UN theme, Shaping Peace Together. Dr. Hans is a holistic medical expert and a really great treasure in our community. And I experienced him in January of this year as he founded a weekend event, the first Ojai Health Intensive, with amazing multifaceted support for every participant. I truly can say his expertise and his devotion to health and being in service is remarkable.
Yeah, so Hans, welcome. And I'm going to just read a little short bio so people have a broader sense of your background. So Dr. Hans Grün has close to 40 years of experience in the medical field with an office in Los Angeles and Ojai. His professional experience in Europe and the United States puts him at the forefront of integrative and preventative medicine. His patient-centered functional medicine approach treats the whole person and sees the body as one integrated system, not just a collection of independent organs. Dr. Grün is also a well-known lecturer on alternative and mind-body medicine and authors a best-selling self-help audio series in German. Welcome, Hans. And the theme today, Shaping Peace Together. And what does this theme mean for you and your healing work? What gives you hope for the earth and the future generations?
Right. Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Brian. Shaping Peace Together. Well, it's us together, this togetherness. You know, I mean, me being German, I have an exquisite sensitivity of how not to do it, which means the othering, the exclusion, the emphasizing our differences, the difference between in-group and out-group, is the beginning of us potentially excluding people and the roots of violence and war. Especially then, you know, Nazis, when you then manage to make groups, the Jews, the homosexuals, the socialists, the communists as subhuman, yeah? And then you can do damage without even having that conscience. It's just incredible, you know, how that went. So it's all about, you know, peace starting with us as a relationship of inclusion. And this means ultimately, obviously on a personal psychological level, a expansion of our circle of compassion, let's say. How inclusive am I? Am I, in my psychological development, more on a tribal level, where it's all about me, potentially, or my tribe? Am I more on an ethno-oriented level, focused level, where it's all about my in-group, my church, my book, my holy book, my Bible, whatever it is? Or am I more in an expansive state of including, being inclusive, yeah, world inclusive? So where we emphasize our commonality, our common humanity over the differences, yeah, the inclusiveness over the exclusiveness, and it is that that is essential for peace. Now, strangely enough, you know, many people can have this wonderful psychological expansion. But strange enough, if it goes very close to the body and their own life, and that is to some extent even exemplified with COVID, there's a whole other relationship. So, and at the core of this question is, again, how do you define yourself? What do you define as in versus out? Yeah, what is me and what is strange, foreign, alien, out there? And the old paradigm, which obviously we still have and most people have in our society, is that this skin encapsulated thing, ego, if you want to call it that way, is surrounded by a world that is potentially hostile. Yeah? Nature is hostile. The world around us is hostile. There's all these malicious bacteria. There's all these dangerous viruses. They're parasites, what have you, and they want to do us harm. Yeah, and we are victim to a hostile environment. We, they, and the result of that is that we declare war on everything outside. Yeah? In the same way we declare war on things, on people we don't see as ourselves. And that war in medicine is the predominant language. We have a militaristic medical language. Yeah, we kill bacteria, the war on cancer, the enemy, and then we're also proud about the powerful weapons of modern medicine. So always our language is a militaristic language where it's all about burning and killing and getting rid of that which is alien to us. Now, obviously, meanwhile, after 70 years of antibiotics and cancer therapies and what have you, we came to recognize that there's a dark side to our conquest of nature. And that means it actually, to some strange ways, in some strange ways, unforeseen for many decades, backfires. You know, there were super resistant superbugs. We're in chemotherapy with all the kill and burn, which sometimes is very successful, not to leave that out, but we create often resistant cancer stem cells, which then resist the strongest therapies, and obviously the side effects on living tissues, what have you. So, so the whole picture then, us against them, us victimized in a hostile world against the environment, is all ultimately came then to a break when we discovered the microbiome. Yeah, so the role of our gut bacteria in our health. And suddenly we notice that in that lowly part of ourselves, there hosts our immune system, there sits our immune system. Not only that, there sits our detoxification capacity, there sits our ability to absorb things, to generate things, to generate vitamins. So part of our immune system, part of our brain health, part of our longevity, part of our resiliency in general, all sits in the function of the microbiome. Now, surprise, surprise, all the bad guys which we've been shooting at are all in there, you know, just that they are somewhat imbalanced and somewhat in the diversity, in the richness of our microbiome, they are embedded, and maybe in some decades or even years in the future, we will discover that these so-called bad guys, so easy to make it all good and bad, will have a profound positive function for us, you know, as they're part of the whole orchestra and tapestry. So that was the first thing. And then science showed us, you know, that these dreaded viruses are actually essential for us. They're updates, you know, they're updates that give us information about the environment and that are often embedded into our genes. Our DNA is 30% viral origin, you know. So the viruses are essential to our survival. As the basic principles. If viruses would have been hostile to us from the beginning, we would not have made it up the food chain. You know, they've been around from the very, very beginning. So this whole idea is just even now from a scientific perspective, falling down more and more. And then if you look at nature, there's symbiosis. Nature works together. And yes, there's parasitic symbiosis or parasitic relationships, but they're in a minority. Mostly it's mutualistic. It's for mutual benefit. So that is our relationship to life, mutually beneficial. And even parasitic, parasites don't have an interest to kill you. Otherwise, they lose their food source and their host. So the whole life is organized in a supportive, mutually supportive fashion. So, and then the next step, the latest step now is that we discover that the vitality and the health of the food we eat, just like the microbiome now being us and not other. The food we eat is part of that equation too. It is also us and not other. And the food and the vitality and the health of that food profoundly influences our health, profoundly influences our longevity, profoundly influences our resistance to diseases and vitality. So you cannot separate anymore us against them. So us is actually that expanded thing. So pouring toxins onto our food, destroying our topsoil, and so on, we are destroying ourselves, just as we are destroying our microbiome with junk food and antibiotics and a very narrow and unhealthy diet. So it's all about balance and relationship to these things. That's the old idea in medicine of the terrain. It's more important than the aggressor, than the bug, than the germ. It's the terrain on which the germ falls and which means for us our resilience and our overall health and our living in balance with nature. That is us. So if you relate that to COVID, for example, that just recently a study came out that 9% of all COVID patients who die of COVID by itself. Over 90% die of COVID plus comorbidities, which is normally inflammatory, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and what have you. But normally inflammatory diseases now, which are the core of our chronic disease state. Diabetes, obesity, all that stuff comes from us eating too much sugar and junk food, basically. And now, if you hear that, 90% comorbidities, and the virus is by far not as aggressive. If we would be resilient, you would assume that now everybody would go for changing their lifestyle, eating healthier and more greens, and sleeping more and exercising and just doing all these basic lifestyle things that make us resilient. But surprise, surprise, or not so surprise, junk food consumption goes up during COVID. The COVID obesity raises because everybody now is afraid, and fear, leads us to these old habitual behaviors. So it's just incredible. Instead of really seeing that we have to take responsibility, it's easy to feel victimized and do nothing, and it's more difficult to take responsibility and do something. But this is where the solution is. We have to change some of our lifestyle, change our relationship to these bugs, live in balance with nature, in general, get away from the junk food. So that's kind of the resume, of the whole thing. So that we want to make peace with the world, we have to start with us and this most intimate relationship to who we think we are in relationship to our microbiome, to the food, to the environment. And this is inclusive. And if it's inclusive, you cannot make war. So, all right.
Wow.
Thank you, Hans. So it was wonderful to really see your holistic perspective, how to strengthen our resilience, to really exercise more, have healthy diet, reflect on who am I in this life, and not exclude, include, what we are here for. So using this time of COVID-19 to be still and reflect on that. But I think your militaristic view on how we approach disease and the viruses and microbes, that doesn't work, I think might be really helpful for so many people to really see, since humans are around 200,000 years or longer, we live with microbes and our body actually can deal with it. If you have a healthy immune system, then we don't have to worry so much.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So for me, because I'm not directly in the health field, I just hear through that how to make peace with ourselves. You know, how do we, because obviously peace begins with me, but if I'm at war in my body and I have all this inflammation, I'm susceptible. My immune system is compromised through all of that. And so this is a great message, where we talk about shaping peace together. It's like, okay, all of my parts need to become harmonious and peaceful. So thank you really so much for this inspiration, Hans. I just really love.
All right, you're very welcome. You're very welcome anytime.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this recording to a close, and thank you. This message will be going out on Monday, and from hearts to you, Hans.
Thanks so much, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a deep breath and let's take in the wonderful message Dr. Hans Grün gave us, this inclusive message. And just maybe be a moment still. We all invite you to be a moment still. Take some deep breath and let your senses be. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. Just be aware of this moment with all the information we just got. And to deepen that, we will play now the beautiful chorus choir. This choir joined Ojai International City of Peace in 2015. We were pretty much in the beginning. It's an a cappella chorus. They have so beautiful voices. In the meantime, they became so famous, so to say. So that, enjoy this song.
We have pain, but we have beautiful energy. We got a gift, we got love, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Every new note creates a beautiful memory. Time and space fall away like leaves. We may have pain, but we are beautiful energy. We got a gift, we got love, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yeah, just let go what doesn't serve you anymore. Just be in this present moment and encourage you, invite you to breathe out all the areas where you feel they don't serve you anymore. Maybe some habits, some patterns. And as we celebrate Ojai International City of Peace, worldwide Peace Day, let more peace into your heart and give yourself some compassion for what you're holding, what you're going through, your concerns, your care for the world, but also for your family members, your closed ones, your loved ones. Just send your love and your compassion, like Fred Amen pointed out, the empathy, the compassion that connects us as one human family, regardless of race, color, gender, religion. Just send your love from your heart to the heart of the other, especially those who are in need. Beautiful.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. So next up, I'm going to introduce you to Barbara Gone-Mueller, just a phenomenal peace builder. And she's going to just share some very, very simple steps to peace. So I'm going to share the screen so that you can watch that interview with Barbara. So hold on a second while I pull it up. Thanks for being with us.
Greetings, everyone. I'd like to welcome Barbara Gone-Mueller today from Santa Barbara. And we as International City of Peace Ojai, we are very excited to have you, Barbara, here as part of our online Peace Day celebration in Ojai. The United Nations theme for 2020 is Shaping Peace Together. And I'm full of awe about Barbara's amazing peace work she did and is still doing.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here.
Barbara, I'm going to just introduce you with your bio now. And so everybody knows a little bit about your background. This is a very short version. Barbara is co-founder and president of the Rotary E-Club of World Peace, established following her work with the Rotary World Peace Conference 2016. She continues the peace work of her late husband, Dr. Robert Mueller, former UN Assistant Secretary General. Together, Robert and she co-created 7,500 ideas for a better world shared daily. In 2019, she received the Visionaries Lifetime Achievement Award. She is the founder of the award-winning Gone Global Public Relations, celebrating its 25th year working for a better world. She is also the president of the United Nations Association Santa Barbara Tri-County Chapter, creator-host of peacepodcast.org, and co-author of Revolutionary Conversations. Welcome, Barbara.
What a pleasure. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Thank you. Peace begins with each of us. And that's why I was so delighted when I heard that Brian and Lisa were going to bring forth a podcast about the International Day of Peace, September 21. You may know that in 1981, during the United Nations 36th annual session, the UN General Assembly wanted a day to promote a global ceasefire. Just like Antonio Guterres said, right now we have to fight COVID-19. We should not be fighting each other. We need a ceasefire on the planet so we can handle this pandemic and save people's lives. And so here we are on September 21, 2020, we're going to be celebrating an International Day of Peace. And I have a little story which many people may not know. This happened because of this General Assembly, but it also happened because of Pathways to Peace. They had a member of their board who was a creator of calendars. And he just put it on the calendar. And that's how it got on the calendar. And never underestimate how a small idea can take place and change the world.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so how would you like me to talk about what you can do during the International Day of Peace? What 4 things I do every single day? Because I don't think we should only have peace one day a year. I think we should have peace in our heart and peace every day. During
Yes. I would love to hear the 4 things that you do every day, Barbara, because you're such an inspiration to me and thousands of others. So just, people, especially now, really need some go-to tools.
Well, the first one is something I learned from the 85 peacemakers I interviewed at the 2016 World Peace Conference. I am one lucky lady. I was able to use freeconferencecall.org and interview 85 of the 150 speakers who were going to speak at the first 2016 World Peace Conference. Well, I said to everyone that I interviewed on peacepodcast.org, I'm sorry, that's my podcast, on freeconferencecall.org, I said, what does peace mean to you? And they said, it begins with me and starts with the conversation. So my first step in bringing peace on this day and every day is to be present for the conversation, to come alongside, to use the tools in revolutionary conversation. And I always tell everybody, no matter what happens, do what you do in your car when you come to a stop sign. Stop. Why do you stop? You stop because you don't go forward until it's safe. The same way in conversation. Our first step in the revolutionary conversations is stop. Be present. Be there. And the second one is I say, and then ask a question. I heard you say that peace isn't possible. What does that mean? And then you start the conversation, and that's how you become the peace maybe that person needs. You haven't walked in their shoes. You don't know what kind of peace problems they've been having, and you have to be the peace they may need. The other one, my second one, is I have a peace corner. It's a little plaque that says Peace Corner. I have them in every room. So I remember when I enter the room to have peace, to bring peace into the room. And when the children at the Montessori school asked me, what could I do for peace? I looked in the back of the room, and this was when my dear husband, Robert Mueller, was still alive. And I said, look in the back of the room. You have peace in the corner of the stadium here. Why don't we create a peace corner? Well, they got so excited. Now every Montessori school has peace corners, and it's a place of tranquility. And they started to take them home, and now every home has a peace corner where you have a neutral zone. If your mother's yelling at you, I always tell these kids, that's where you go, and you can become the peace maybe your mother needs. Or if your mother needs to get away from you, she can sit in the peace corner. So these have become all sorts of models of in creating a peace corner. They have chairs, they have a globe, and I just have the peace corner in the kitchen and every room that I enter to remember that peace begins with me, and I can bring it into whatever situation I'm in. We may be the peace other people need. So those are 2 of my wonderful ideas that I practice every day.
Barbara, the Montessori school here in Ojai has a peace pole and a circle of chairs around it. So just maybe you spark that idea for them.
The peace pole is really fabulous. It's done by the Sadako Peace. It's a Sadako like Sadako, you know, how she was the lady who said if she created 1,000 cranes, maybe she wouldn't die from the radiation that happened after the bomb hit Japan. And I think about her and the peace gardens all over the world. And the peace pole is the Goey Peace Foundation. They started that, and they're a permanent member of the United Nations United Nations itself, who is celebrating its 75th year this year.
Yeah, it sounds really wonderful, Barbara, what you are saying. And I like that you inspire people to stop a moment and connect. You know, nowadays where everyone is wearing a mask and connection and conversation is much harder, but you encourage people to stop anyway and connect maybe through your eyes or, you know, however. And then this beautiful reminder about the peace corner. You can create everywhere a peace corner, and like you started, peace starts within. So reminding people to come always back to this place within that is sacred within all of us. Beautiful.
We're given this body for a reason, and we're given a mind and the energy to live our destiny. And I feel like you and Lisa, you and Brian are living your destiny of peace, and you created the International City of Peace. There's so many things that we can do for peace, but I practice on my third little step is I practice kindness. Whatever I can do, I practice kindness. If I can be kind to someone, say a kind word. I'll give you an example. Today, one of my youngest members of my UNA had to resign today. And she was in charge of the youth group. And she said, I can't do it anymore. I have 2 jobs and I'm taking care of my family. And instead of saying, oh, darn, why did you even sign up? I said, well, what a blessing that we've had for your tenure here. What a gift you are to us. And we want to bless you and send you healing love. And so you can have kindness no matter what you do. And the other last little thing, I practice gratitude. Wherever I am, I practice gratitude. But don't think I'm perfect. I have a son who helps me stay on my course. When he was a little boy, I would say, now I'm going to teach you everything I want you to remind me when I get older. So he's always reminding me exactly what I taught him when he was a little boy. Because I said our kids are our best teachers as we enter the realm of older than thou.
Beautiful. Yes. How to be grateful every moment about our life and nature, and it's such a beautiful habit. Thank you, Barbara.
Lisa, you mentioned a word I love. The word is nature. And when I do feel that I have overwhelmed, and we all get it with the COVID-19, I go into nature and I just stop. I just stop. I don't say, hello, nature, how are you? I just stop. And I let the moment create itself in nature. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours, and I'll just sit still. I have a bench under a tree and I just sit there because I know the harmony we have to create with nature also spreads to the world. And I'm interviewing today on my peacepodcast.org, Larry Dawsey. And Larry Dawsey believes we are all one mind. One mind. What an amazing concept. He said, even after you pass, somebody passes, that mind energy is still with us. And the geniuses on our planet are those that stay still, who can let the mind create not what they have been transferring from other learners, but from the universe and themselves. And so many people say, like Erwin Laszlo, who I've had on Peace Podcast, he said, I just sit still with a piece of paper in front of me and I start writing because I know the universe is going to help me write the next book. The universal spirits are out there. And I think that's a good idea.
Barbara, this is just such a wonderful time being with you. And I know that you have a busy schedule. We don't want to cut you off, but would you like to have some visionary words towards the future generations?
Well, the first thing I want to say is bless you. You were born for a purpose. You were born for a destiny. I feel like people ask me all the time when I do these radio shows or keynote speeches, well, how can I find out if I'm on my destiny? And I say, are you joyful? Are you happy? And they say, well, okay, that's good. I'll be happy. I'll find out my destiny. What about a partner? You have the most perfect partners. And I said, the same thing goes. Look at Lisa and Brian. What did they find? Happiness in each other. And they became more of who they are with the person when they're with them. That's the answer. So my destiny is filled with enthusiasm. And if you're going to say yes to something, say it with enthusiasm. And if you're going to say no, thank you. But I'm glad you asked. And I'm glad you asked, Brian and Lisa. I love you both. And may peace prevail on earth.
Peace prevail on earth. Thank you so much, Barbara, for your wise words.
Thank you. Well, when you get my age, you have a lot of wisdom. God bless Brian and God bless you, Lisa. And all of you who are listening, remember this. It's up to us to bring peace to our planet. And I hope you'll be on the team of the Peace Brigade. Let's just make it happen on September 21. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks
You're
so much.
welcome.
Bye-bye now.
Barbara is such an uplifting being. So I want to ask to the viewer and listener, are you happy? Are you joyful? These are so beautiful questions. You know, I always say in my life, joy is the perfume of the soul. I think that's what Barbara is saying here. If we are really experiencing joy, something is aligned, something feels connected with our core. So I know these beautiful interviews are so rich and open up probably many questions and thoughts. So I invite you for another moment of a deep breath. Be kind to yourself. And as Barbara is such a uplifting person, Brian, do you want to introduce the next video?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I'd firstly like to say that, you know, when we listen to Dr. Hans Gruen, just this idea of really making peace with my entire body, making peace with, like when I do my meditation work, it's like I want every single cell in my body to be happy and well. Every single cell happy and well. And this peace is really what delivers that. And I really feel like Barbara echoed that to us in her talk. Now, in the introduction to what's coming up next, 2 years ago, Lisa and I decided to award an individual with our Awakening Peace Award. And 2 years ago, we created Awakening Peace as our nonprofit, and our nonprofit has been the vehicle and fiscal sponsor for International City of Peace. So this is something that we created so that we would have a vehicle for the generous contributions so that we could continue our peace work here in Ojai and beyond. So, so I said that 2 years ago, and our first recipient was to Fred Arment for creating International Cities of Peace and dedicating his life to peace building. The second award was to Dr. Bob Dodge, who you'll be hearing from later. And Dr. Bob Dodge, with his work with Physicians for Social Responsibility in Los Angeles as the president, and his amazing initiative of nuclear-free zones that are spreading across the country. I'll let you hear from him later about that. But Lisa and I, with the agreement of our first recipient, Fred Arment, and our second recipient, Dr. Bob Dodge, we have selected Barbara Gaughan-Mueller as our 2020 Awakening Peace Award recipient.
Well, it's a great honor to have Barbara Gaughan-Mueller with us today because Lisa and I are awarding Barbara with the Awakening Peace Award for 2020. And Barbara, we are so excited to offer you this award for all of the tireless leadership peace work that you do. I mean, maybe I should revert those words to say the peace work that you do tirelessly. And thank you so much.
It's an honor. And boy, was I happy to see the words awakening peace, because that's what we're doing. We're still at that awareness stage. And for you to realize that it takes all of us. Thank you. Thank you for this honor. I am so beyond over the moon. Thank you.
So I'm going to share the certificate and the Awakening Peace Award now so that everybody can have a look.
You brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. So beautiful. I have to, sorry, I don't mean to put a Kleenex up, but I have never had such an honor. Awakening Peace. Imagine. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
So here's the award certificate. And as you can see, this is awarding Barbara for her outstanding contribution in peace education and leadership while working tirelessly for a lasting peace legacy for future generations.
Thank you. It's so beautiful.
Yes, and now I want to share the actual award. And this is just a photo of it. And when you see it in person, I'm sure it'll be even that much more beautiful.
Oh, my. Remember when I met you at the 2020 World Peace Conference and I saw this beautiful hologram of the world today that we're all intertwined? And for you to put that on that plaque, it just blows me away. It's beautiful. I might take it off and wear it around.
Well,
Thank you.
that's possible because there it is.
That.
Whoops.
I can see it. It's a magnet.
Yeah, I created a magnetic holder here.
It's just beautiful. Just,
Okay.
and I am so
And
honored.
we deeply feel that world peace is possible when we realize we are one human family and that we are all connected, that there's not a hierarchy about who has bigger weapons and who is stronger, really meeting on an eye-to-eye level, regardless of religion, color, culture, and everything. That meeting as one human meets the other, one culture meets the other, and let's learn from each other and connect.
I think we connect with our hearts, Lisa. I did a talk in Japan. I followed Robert, and all I said to the Japanese, I mean, thousands of people in the sumo wrestler auditorium, I said, my heart is open to you. I got a standing ovation because I said it was my heart that was open to them. And I think that's where peace comes from, not from the brain, but from our heart and our soul. And I'm so honored again to receive the Awakening Peace Award. Thank you.
Great. Well, Barbara, we look forward to much more time with you, sharing peace work together. And just a little personal note, let's have Santa Barbara become the next International City of Peace.
I'll put my energy into it, Brian. I absolutely will. Thank you. And Brian, it is such an honor to have you and Lisa participate in our Rotary E-Club of World Peace also. It's a spiral, isn't it, Brian and Lisa? We are all connected, and I think our hearts resound all this beauty of the love that we share during this time when peace seems to be so hard to achieve. But I'm so delighted to receive this award. Thank you.
Thank you. From the heart to your heart.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, without further ado, I would like to just say, when you're thinking about peace, think about the city of peace in Ojai. Can you believe the entire city is a city of peace? I just am so honored. And that's one of the recipient was the first one, right, Fred?
Fred Armand was our first recipient for creating International Cities of Peace. We were the 99th International City of Peace. Now there's 285. And our second recipient award was Dr. Robert Dodge. And Robert Dodge was the person who put forth an initiative for Ojai to divest from any investments that support the nuclear weapons industry. So we became a nuclear-free zone. And so what's next? We also want everybody to come to our compassionate city. So thank you, Barbara, for your inspiration and being part of this great peace brigade, as you say later on.
I love it. Thank you both. I am so honored. And I'm delighted that it's kind of small because see this necklace I wear all the time? Yeah. I'm going to try to figure out a way to put that on a necklace because it's so gorgeous. Or maybe on a pin. We all wear our peace pins, don't we, Brian?
Yes, I have it here.
We have to give Brian one. Brian, sorry, let's give Lisa one. We'll make her an honorary piece because I have an extra one since my dear Sig passed away, and I'd like to give it to you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bless your hearts, and thank you again. I cannot even begin to tell you how honored I am. It's just when the tears flow, then I know my heart's open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. And peace be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Peace be with you.
So I'd like to introduce this next speaker. And for those of you who don't know Dr. Bob Dodge, I'm going to later read his bio to you. But with an incredible practice as a medical doctor, he saw that the greatest threat, health threat to humanity, were the amassed nuclear weapons that with just one use of a nuclear bomb, we saw what it did in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And Bob has dedicated his life as a peace builder to the eradication of all nuclear weapons. So I'm going to share our interview with him. And I'm very happy for those of you who are staying with us. And onward we go. Here it comes. Thank you all.
So welcome, Dr. Bob Dodge. Thank you for being with us on the Ojai Day of Peace 2020 with the UN theme of Shaping Peace Together. For me, Dr. Bob is a warrior of the heart. He cares, he takes action. He's a front runner in transforming the world to the better, far beyond Ojai and California. So a warm welcome, Dr. Bob.
Thank you, Bob. I'm going to just read your bio so everyone has a little broader sense. Dr. Dodge is a family practice physician in Ventura, California, with more than 30 years of experience in disarmament advocacy. He is the president of Physicians for Social Responsibility, Los Angeles, and co-chair of the Nuclear Abolition Committee for their national board. Dr. Dodge played an active role in the successful passage of the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and helped organize the U.S. Back from the Brink campaign, which endorses the UN treaty and calls for specific steps to lower the risk of nuclear war. In 2018, he presented his initiative that initiated our city becoming a nuclear-free zone. And he was our 2019 Awakening Peace Award winner for his life and service to peace. Welcome, Dr. Dodge, and please share how you're shaping peace together in all the areas that you're mostly concerned.
Well, thank you so much, Brian and Lisa. It's so nice to be with you virtually here as we are. You know, I love this year's theme of shaping peace together, because ultimately we will only achieve peace when we work together and realize the interconnectedness of peace on the planet, with peace with the planet, and the fact that we are one human family. I firmly believe that we all have a role to play in bringing forth a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. It's not necessarily a large role, it's not necessarily a small role, it is our role. And the task for each of us individually remains identifying what our role is. My personal peace approach regarding our current pandemic, systemic racism, economic, political, and climate change is that I think it's essential to draw the connection to each of these issues. We live in a country that has committed two great wrongs, slavery and dropping of the nuclear bombs. We live in a country with a long-standing systemic and institutionalized racism, and now find ourselves in a warming, resource-depleting world, which leads to more conflict, and we are armed with over 13,000 nuclear weapons. Fortunately, the world is awakening to the humanitarian consequences of the potential use of these weapons. That gives me hope. Today, there's much that gives me hope with the awakening that's happening around this country and around the world to both the intersection and connectedness of each of these issues. From the Black Lives Matter movement to the Sunrise Green New Deal movement, people are making the connection. They are speaking out and taking a stand. Regarding nuclear weapons, which is our greatest momentary existential threat, the international community is working to ratify the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. This is put forth in 2017 at the United Nations. And currently there are 44 nations that have ratified this. Now, treaties internationally go into force when 50 nations have ratified them. We anticipate that that 50th nation will ratify this year, 2020, the 75th year commemorating Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And 90 days later, that treaty will go into force, making nuclear weapons, like every other weapon of mass destruction, illegal to own, to develop, to fund, to threaten to use, to stockpile, to transfer. So the 9 nuclear nations that will continue to have them will now be stigmatized internationally. Here in the United States, there's a rapidly growing grassroots movement called Back from the Brink, the call to prevent nuclear war. And I'm going to say right out, anybody who listens to this presentation who has not gone on and endorsed that movement, preventnuclearwar.org, please do so. It is essential. We are looking for individuals, cities like Ojai, states like California, and communities, non-government organizations, etc. Currently, there are 343 organizations and NGOs who have endorsed the call. In addition, we have 47 municipalities. Ojai was number 2, and now cities have followed Ojai's lead because we sort of set the template and endorsed this call. And there have been 6 state legislative bodies that have actually gone on, with California being the largest state and first state in the nation to back from the brink. Very briefly, Back from the Brink endorses the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and calls on our government to lead an international effort to bring that treaty to fruition. It also calls on basically our government to renounce the option of using nuclear weapons first. It ends the sole and unchecked authority of any president, the current or any future, of initiating nuclear war individually or unilaterally. Also, it takes our weapons off hair trigger alert. And finally, it urges us to stop the insane $1.7 trillion build-out of our nuclear weapons arsenals over the next 30 years, robbing our communities. So this has been the largest nuclear abolition movement in the United States since the freeze movement, so many of us are aware of, from the 1980s. I encourage anyone who has not endorsed the campaign to do so. It gives me great hope to see the communities come together and recognizing the connection between social justice, environmental justice, and peace. And ultimately, when the people lead, the leaders will follow. I will say one question that had come up about nuclear-free zones. We are a nuclear-free zone in Ojai, which is wonderful. And that doesn't mean we're not going to house nuclear weapons, we're going to not build nuclear weapons. That's obvious. Ojai is not a place we're building or stockpiling or installing them. It is a statement of intent. It is a statement of understanding to the rest of the world that we do not support the effort to build and threaten nuclear weapons. It is an effort to say we do not want our city, our municipality, our retirement funds to be invested in companies and organizations that actually build, fund, and develop nuclear weapons. So it's a major statement for the rest of the world to see. And I'm so proud to be with you all and in Ojai, which is really leading a national and international effort. Thank you.
Wow. So Bob, we'll post the website address for Back from the Brink.
Yeah.
And any other addresses that you would like to
That's fantastic. Yeah. So
7.
that's the main one. Again, is because that's what we're really focusing on in this country.
Okay.
And it's interesting, just because you guys always know the International Day of Peace, September 21st, and then I think it's September 25th is the International Day for the complete elimination of nuclear weapons, complete abolition. So they fall within 5 days of each other. It's very interesting because I am working with the international organization, and there are many countries that lined up and want to be that 50th nation, and we're actually saying, cool it, slow down. This is interesting. We actually don't want it to happen on September 25th because what would happen is it will go into effect on Christmas Day. And we think for years to come, that's going to lose. So we actually are encouraging, we can't control the other countries, and we love the fact that they're enthusiastic and they're ready to do, but we really want it to actually go into effect about a week later. We'd like to go in the early part of the year to celebrate the new year with the final treaty passage and treaty going into force. So it's kind of an exciting time, but we're kind of like, hold off. Yeah. But it will happen soon, which is, it's tremendous. So yeah,
it's very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Who would think that 2020, which has been so horrific,
I know,
all across the world, would have something so hopeful for the future of humanity.
Yeah. And it's interesting, having interviewed and met with the Habakasha, the survivors. It's just it's so heartwarming to them after all these years, 75 years, to finally in their lifetime to hopefully see this treaty pass. So there's a lot to be hopeful for. And again, as they say, when the people speak, the leaders will follow and things like that. So yeah.
I like and appreciate this statement. Like, we're the people, and you empower people to have a stand, and then the environmental and social and the political energies will follow that. And that is peace, shaping peace together for this year.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you, Bob, for your great.
So, Dr. Bob, many thanks. And anything else you'd like to drop into the peace pot here?
No, I think that's great. I say again, it's so interesting because, and this really this year for me was very interesting because I've spoken out on this for the better part of 40 years, but in the last decade was so much awareness of climate change and the like. I don't give a speech that I don't say, make the connection. And this year, I didn't mention in my comments, but between Black Lives Matter, COVID, climate change, the disastrous climate of the world, it is all connected, and people are awakening to that. So that does give me hope. So,
yeah. Brian and I and International Cities of Peace are really promoting that when we realize we are one human family, like this awakening as one human family, regardless of race, color, culture, gender, then we come together and we will change something.
Yep. That's what I always say. It's all connected. We're one human family on this planet. So, yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Bob.
Take care.
All right. We'll be in touch.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Dr. Bob Dutch, another inspiring Ojai member of the community. How are you holding up, Brian, with all the...
I'm just so appreciative that we have such amazing people in our lives, and so happy that we could share it with those on Facebook. And what we're going to do tomorrow on Peace Day is we'll begin posting these individual talks by themselves. So if you want to share them or come back and listen to them, you'll be able to. And so that's part of this little project of ours, which we envisioned a long time ago, but based upon COVID, there was really a sense of holding anything that we could do, because obviously through the year, we've just been, we still have on the calendar in Libby Park, we have our name on today. but obviously it's not allowed. So we pulled this together, and we hope those of you, I know that our numbers are moving in. Oh, people are coming on and coming off, and so we understand. But we're gonna have more for you as we go forward. And so I'm gonna introduce our next speaker, Arthur Kanigis. And Arthur is the film producer of a movie that inspired Lisa so much. It's called The World Is My Country. And Gary Davis created these world passports. And can you imagine if we didn't identify with our specific country as our home? Yes, we live here, but isn't planet Earth our home? Isn't the world our country? Anyway, so I'm gonna cue up his video here, and there's more to come.
I'd like to welcome Arthur Kanigis. Thank you, Arthur, for being with us on this year's Day of Peace, organized here in Ojai from International Cities of Peace. And the UN theme this year is Shaping Peace Together. And I think you're just so inspiring and such an amazing peace builder that we thought we would like to hear your voice here. But I learned first about you when I saw the documentary, The World Is My Country, about Gary Davis. And I have to say, actually, when I was in the 1980s in Berlin, I heard the first time the world is my country, and by the famous violinist Yehudi Menuhin. He announced himself, I am a world citizen. I was young and I thought, yes, that's me. And he was the first Jewish musician who returned to Germany in 1947 and years later to play with the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra as an act of reconciliation and peace building.
Can I jump in to just add a second there before we get to the bio that Gary knew Yehudi personally. He gave him a world passport, and he was part of that wonderful adventure of him declaring himself a citizen of the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, so I'm going to read Arthur's bio so everyone has a real sense of some of the depth of the work that he's done for peace. So, as you heard, he produced The World Is My Country about the amazing adventures of world citizen #1, Gary Davis, who I happened to meet in the mid-90s. So we're all connected here. He hosts the People Powered Plant podcast and founded Future Wave Inc., a nonprofit organization dedicated to shifting our culture of violence to a culture of peace. He's also the producer of War Without Winners, narrated by Paul Newman and filmed by Haskell Wexler, and produced a Paul Newman PSA that ran after the 1983 ABC TV special, The Day After. He was also a researcher on The Day After, providing the crew with nuclear war bomb damage effects, different distances from the epicenter, so the production crew could accurately design the sets. 100 million Americans watched it, and over 200 million in the Soviet Union. Ronald Reagan credits it with convincing him that nuclear war was unwinnable, leading to his negotiating and signing arms limitation agreements with the Soviet Union. So now here he is, radio host, podcaster, journalist, visionary writer and filmmaker, Arthur Kanigis. Welcome, Arthur.
Well, thank you. I love being here in Ojai.
Yeah, thank you. What gives you hope for the future generations in all life? Let's start off there.
Well, that is a crucially important question. Just last night, I was talking to my daughter in Washington, D.C., and oh my God, she is so torn up with, you know, the rise of totalitarianism looming ahead with her. You know, we have grandkids. I have grandkids, you know, 10 and 9 years old. And as a mother, she's heartbroken. She's working hard with the American Friends Service Committee to try to turn things around, but sometimes it seems like hopeless, like it's a deluge, a cascading of crises that seem like they're out of control. So how do I find hope in the midst of that? And that is that there's a key thing that happens. Change happens, shifts happen at major transformational points in history when we're facing major crises. And in many ways, these crises are the instigation of the metamorphosis into a whole new possibility. And the key thing I think that drives that is vision. Without vision, the people perish. Now, so many of us have learned in our own lives that, you know, if we can meditate and visualize what we want, we're more likely to get there. And yet, as a society, what do? We keep visualizing doom and gloom. We visualize, you know, the end of the world. We visualize movies about all the violence and disruption, and we plant that into our subconsciouses. I think that the thing we need to turn it around is to spark a vision, and that's the kind of thing Gary Davis did. He had a vision that if we lift our sights up to being citizens of the world, all these insurmountable problems become eminently solvable. So that's why we have these People-Powered Planet podcasts, where each week we have these really exciting visionaries talking about how we build the world we choose. We just had a Sushiant, who was one of the winners of the Global Challenge Foundation $1.8 million prize for better ideas on how to run our world. And he has this whole proposal how interacting with the internet, we can build a bottom-up people-powered democracy, not with guns and bombs to enforce things, but with we the people using our purchasing power, our moral power, our power as people coming together, really, because we are the superpower. We the people are the superpower, but we don't recognize it because we're locked in these little boxes called nation states that divide up our one planet. And so, you know, the corporations are acting globally, and we're stuck in those boxes. And so they've moved to becoming the ones on top, in control, and they can, you know, money controls our politicians and so on, and people try to force it back under. But the key really is for us to recognize we're world citizens and take our rightful place on top of our planet as the rightful governors of planet Earth.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, just when we come to a place where we recognize that there's just one humanity, we immediately want to act in compassion and generosity and care for each other. So,
and I think that's exactly right. And I think the key is that people have that compassion on an individual basis, and yet we haven't found a way to institutionalize that. You know, when I was working on the nuclear war research for the day after, the more I researched how close we were to nuclear war and what a hair trigger it was, and even when I go back to that today and find out we've moved from, you know, from the Fulton Atomic Scientists' doomsday clock saying 7 minutes to midnight to now, you know, 100 seconds from midnight. We're getting a midnight of total destruction of all that we know and love. And what's happened is when you study all that, you can start drowning in an ocean of darkness. And I found myself doing that, and it takes away all your energy, it drains you. But then I thought back to a song that we would sing when we were in Quaker meeting as kids, and it's the George Fox song, and it says, you know, there's a light that was shining when the world began, and a light that is shining in the heart of man. Because there's an ocean of darkness, and I drowned in the night, till I came through the darkness to the ocean of light. And the light is forever, and the light makes us free. I will dwell in the glory of the light, said he. George Fox, the founder of the Quakers. And you know, he was living at a time where people were being thrown in dungeons for what they believed in and being killed and facing horrible oppression. And yet, just like Nelson Mandela from inside jail, he sparked that light, and that light that lit a candle that began to spread out to the world. And when we look at it, at the same time that we're drowning in that ocean of darkness, if we click our thinking a second, we're in an ocean of light. everywhere we look around the world, people are helping each other, helping families, support. There's a uncountable number of nonprofits working to do good in the world. There's people coming together at the United Nations to outlaw nuclear weapons, to have the whole UN development goals. There's just everywhere you look, there's flowers blooming, plants growing, the earth regenerating when things get destroyed. And I realized that we can dwell in that ocean of darkness and drown, or dwell in that ocean of light and create that hope and that vision that will actually propel us into the people-powered planet.
Yeah, this is what, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
I really love what you're saying, that we need a vision and that we need the hope, and always remember there is the light, there is the beauty, and we are just part of nature, and that nature shows us every day, every morning, the birds and the greenness, and then humans we are the people, like you say, we are the people. And yeah, we need that more than ever, and to remember who we are, why are we here, and that we have just this planet, we're this human family.
Well, what you said is key. We are the people. And what's happened is, the Declaration of Independence says it is the right of the people to institute new governance. It says in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, signed unanimously by the nations of the world, the will of the people shall be the basis of authority of government. Almost every constitution in the world says that it derives its authority from the will of the people. And so Gary Davis, the fellow we made this movie about, came to an incredible realization. And I'll tell you that realization in a minute, but let me first show you a little clip of what he did. Greta and Leonardo DiCaprio and others have spoken to the nations at the UN. Well, let me show you what Gary did. Hold on a second. I'm going to share my screen here a minute. And we're going to go right here and share. And now take a look at our little trailer for our movie.
At a recent sitting of the United Nations General Assembly, there was an astonishing outburst from Mr. Gary Davis, known as World Citizen #1.
What I did was I got up before anybody could stop me. There were balcony railings there. I leaped over the balcony railings out to the front where everybody could see me, and I shouted, "I interrupt! I interrupt! I interrupt! In the name of the people not represented here." Well, I started. The nations you represent divide us and lead us to the abyss of total war. What we need is one world. And if you won't do it, step aside. And a People's World Assembly will arise from our own ranks to do it, because we can be served by nothing less.
He was an actor, a song and dance man who leapt off the Broadway stage onto the world stage in 1948, taking on cops, border guards, armies, and whole nations, showing us that we don't have to be awed by their props of power and control. We don't have to accept a world ravaged by war and plunging towards environmental disaster. For 65 years, as a citizen of no nation, only the world, Gary Davis made his own props of freedom, demonstrating that we, the people, can tear down the walls of oppression and write our own story. We can build a world that is constructive for all and destructive to none. A world in which all of us can truly say, the world is my country.
Okay, so now if people want to see that, they just go to theworldismycountry.com. It's right here on our t-shirts that are available at our store, The World Is My Country. And you can go ahead and watch an abridged version, and also you can click in our store to get the full version and the impact of this exciting story. And so the key thing that I wanted to mention is that after Gary did that interruption to the UN, 5 days later, Eleanor Roosevelt responded in a My Day column across the entire country, went out in her newspaper column, and she said, that the UN wasn't really set up to create a government. It was a place where nations could meet and let off steam and, you know, battle of words instead of the battlefield. And she said, how much better it would be if Mr. Davis, you know, with his People's World Assembly proposal, how much better it would be would create a worldwide international government, then a worldwide international government to which people could join. So she kind of turned it back to the people. Now in our film, Gary was like floored, you know, the UN can't do it, I'm supposed to do it. And he went through a long journey, but finally found the spiritual power and strength to be able to actually declare a government of, by, and for the people of the planet. Now, it's just a microcosm, but it does put out world passports and creates the vision and the idea of how we, the people, can actually begin to step into our rightful role as the governors of our planet. We don't have to just knock our heads against the wall stuck inside that nation state box. We can rise above it to have the real power of we, the people, the superpower that can create that people-powered planet.
Thank you so much, Arthur. That film really transformed Lisa and I. As soon as we saw it, we signed up for our world passports, and we feel that in our hearts, that this is our home. This is the planet. It's you know, there is not just this little small. I mean, even though we have this little community of Ojai, but Ojai is sending a message out to the entire world. So really great thanks for this movie. And we have a copy of the movie and we'll show it here in Ojai as well.
Great. Now also do join us every week, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time for the People Powered Planet podcast. We have incredible guests. I mentioned Sushant, the prize winner, but we also have coming up, next one is David Hartsoe, who started the Nonviolent Peace Force, talking about even if we do face oppression in this country, you know, oppressive dictators have been undermined by people power, you know, brought down the whole Soviet empire and other dictators. So how do we use the power of nonviolence to not only stop dictators, bring them down, but also to actually learn how we can together create and build and govern the world we choose. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
so timely, like shaping peace together, which is the theme of the UN Peace Day this year. And here it shows up, we are the people. We are world citizens. So thank you, Arthur, for bringing this to the foreground of us to remember what Gary Davis did and we can do. And yeah, let's shape peace together every day in our homes and our hearts, from my heart to your heart and to everyone.
Yep, very good. So again, come to theworldismycountry.com/podcast and join us for more exciting news on how we build the world we choose.
Arthur, thanks so much. We look forward to seeing your podcasts every Wednesday.
Thank you for your contribution.
Well, we're so grateful to you. I love Ojai. I know David Gallup, who runs the World Service Authority for Gary, did show the film there.
Yes.
We have a great relation with Ojai.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back live with you.
Thank you for, sharing your time with us, and you know how challenging it is just sitting in front of the computer or iPhone, however you with us, for really deep acknowledgement, sharing time and space with us. And so we will give a little break with some beautiful music next, a music video, which graciously was given to us by Lucy Dickinson, who lived here in Ojai. And, Lucy is a star in her beingness. And I think she represents, like we just heard about the word citizenship, that Lucy has it in her heart too. Feels just as a human, and sharing her heart, or especially sharing her music and photography. So when she was, you could say, under the influence of the wildfires and smoke and all the present challenges of COVID-19, she at one point, she said she covered herself and created out of the moment to comfort herself this piece of her photography and her piano playing to, just asking herself what could comfort me in this moment, what could nourish my soul. And so we thought how beautiful, and she gave permission to share that with you right now. So,
Okay, here we go.
feel the peace that this beautiful piano playing and the comforting photos from Lucy Dickinson are spreading out. I'd like to invite you one moment again to just be still for a second and feel your body from the top of your head to the toes and fingertip. Maybe you want to shake your body, do some steps. Give yourself thanks for everything you're doing and holding. your hopes and your despair. Your light and your shadow. Acknowledging the human journey we are all in. Sharing our humanness. This moment, connected in this visual cyberspace. And spreading peace. And feeling the peace as good as we can. And holding us with all the other emotions and feelings. Holding us in with loving kindness. Thank yourself.
Thank you, Lisa. I think that the greatest challenge that we're faced with is this feeling of separation. And, you know, whether it's that we're behind a mask or that we're staying at home, we can't go to work. This time together, especially here as we honor International Peace Day, and actually let's just look at it as International Peace Week, because we know that there are many events happening around the world. And today being Sunday, it's Monday in a good part of the world. So we just feel connected with you, our listeners, our global community, our global family. And so thank you for tuning in, and we will be sharing these individual interviews online. And actually they're live now on our Ojai International City of Peace YouTube channel. So you can check them out there, and hopefully tomorrow I'll get them up on the ojaipeace.net website. So I'd like to move us to our next speaker, and we're going to be bringing Kathy Nolan and a number of Ojai community peace builders and visionaries, along with some music, some poetry, and as we move on in our program. So I'm going to share the screen and find the right screen to share. And here we go.
Welcome. I like to welcome Kathy Nolan. We are so grateful to have you here in our Ojai community and excited that you joined our online Peace Day celebration in 2020 with the theme of Shaping Peace Together. I know Kathy as a visionary, insightful, and hands-on contributor in so many areas of our community life. And I look forward to hear more from this inspiring woman.
Okay, well, thank you. I feel honored to be asked to join you, and always in alignment with peace, and so happy for the work that you're doing.
So Kathy Nolan is a landscape architect and the owner of Studio Landscape here in Ojai. She is the board director and president of the Ojai Green Coalition. She presently serves as a planning commissioner for the city of Ojai and is actively involved with Complete Streets and the Tree Committee. She holds 2 certificates in permaculture, urban and international, in addition, certification from the National Charrette Institute.
Charrette, but you were close.
Charrette, thank you. Kathy is passionate about the planet and all that it holds, including the resilience of our local community by working together. She is also a co-founder of Ojai International City of Peace.
Yeah.
Welcome, Kathy. And you know, the theme is shaping peace together. So maybe you could speak a little bit about what this theme means for you and your community service work with Green Coalition and these other projects.
Well, actually, that's perfect, shaping peace together. Because I think one thing that drives me is to work in community, to work together collaboratively, or as a coalition and partners. And more of us are just a bigger part of what we could do. So rather than operating, you know, alone or by oneself, us collectively we can get more done and have a bigger impact, I believe. So yeah, so that drives me, and that's, you know, part of being on the board with the Green Coalition. Part of our mission is, you know, it's in our name, coalition, that we work together with others. And the same thing with being on the Planning Commission for the city of Ojai. It's also the community coming together. And in my case, working together to me is the optimum way of doing something and getting something done. And it's not only that, it's you form new bonds and relationships with people. And I think that's really powerful and important too. And then when you bring it into peace, I find, you know, if we can't work together, how can we expect peace? I mean, that's what it's all about. How can we get together with all of our differences and our different ways of doing things and operating, but ultimately, you know, kind of finding that commonality that brings us together, that common thread, whatever it is, and being able to collaborate. So
this shaping peace together seems to be your day-to-day work and the high value you stand for, really working together.
Right. You know what? Excuse me. Another thing that I thought of too was, this has crossed my mind, and it's been in numerous conversations that I've had with others in the community. You know, the question sometimes comes up about conflicts, not being in peace. Not that I have all the answers, believe me, I don't. I wish I did. But I find that if we can help others, even just to cover their basic needs, like housing, food, clothing, a clean environment, it actually frees people up, and including with that would be actually jobs and, you know, part in the economy, to be able to kind of get outside of that survival mode and be open to be at peace, or something else where they may want to help volunteer or be a part of their community in a greater, bigger way, maybe beyond their family unit. So that's the big, huge challenge.
Yeah, I love that you say that. It's like this basic need of, like the survival, having enough food and water, having shelter, and feeling safe.
Feeling safe, exactly. And do I have work, and how am I going to be able to take care of my family? So, and they all, you know, it sounds so basic, but it is basic, and it is a basic need. And I do see that, you know, worldwide, that's a huge issue. And so that is part of the thing that drives me to work in my community and do what I can to help make it, you know, bigger, better, and greater for the greater good for everyone.
Yeah. Could you speak a little bit about Complete Streets, just so people have a broad idea of what it's about?
Streets. So Complete Streets is about making the streets safe and accessible for everyone. So that means people in cars, emergency vehicles, bike riders, pedestrians, work trucks, whoever is going to be kind of using that public right of way. And then in addition, and tied into that, was actually air quality. And it has since kind of morphed where they sometimes use the term green streets. So you're looking at like stormwater capture, you're adding street trees, you're adding site furnishings like maybe benches and trash cans. So essentially the public right of way, so like kind of the streets and the sidewalk, become almost what you would call like a public park in a way, with a mode of transportation. So I find that really exciting. Maybe it's because I'm a landscape architect and I love planning and I love plants, but I ride a bike, I have a car, and I walk sometimes. And I grew up in LA and I rode my bike everywhere. And that was like pre-helmet. You know, we didn't have bike lanes or anything, but I loved the freedom of being a kid and even a teenager and even in college, whenever, of being, and I still, on my bike, it's almost like riding a horse in a way, or if you've ever climbed like to the top of the tree in a windstorm, there's a little bit of a wild feeling to it, at least that I get, and that you can power it yourself. And then now we've got e-bikes, which I just think is fabulous. And so that's kind of the background and my interest in Complete Streets. But I think what's really exciting is that the city of Ojai actually had us write the policy or co-write the policy with the city, meaning the Planning Commission and several commissioners. And they also allowed us to write a master plan that took it to a whole nother level. And because of that, and because we have this Complete Streets ongoing group, although we have been in hiatus since the COVID in March, excuse me, the city has been able to get funding for this ATP grant that it's in process right now, and a pilot project called Go Ojai, to add bike lanes to varying degrees and extend the sidewalk for pedestrians and more street trees for a good portion of our main streets in Ojai. They both have to be state highways. We're working with Caltrans, but I'm really excited about that. I just think it's a good thing. I think it's good for the greater community. And I will say that during this process of Complete Streets, we've done surveys, actually formal surveys, like through the Safe Routes to School organization. And we went out to public and private schools and found out, doing a survey with administrators and the teachers and the parents, that a lot of them would love to have the children walking or riding to school, but because they did not feel it's safe, they don't encourage it, or the parents don't allow it. But it's kind of interesting how it all dovetails back into, we're always talking about, oh, there's nowhere to park in Ojai and there's too much traffic. And being in an inland valley, we do have, along with Simi Valley, the greater air pollution in Ventura County. But it's all connected, and it all gets back to even our own health. You know, if we can get around in an alternate mode, not only are we helping with, say, carbon emissions, but we're getting some exercise too. So,
Kathy,
I'm happy about it.
Yeah, thank you. So can you give us a sense of what gives you hope for the planet and future generations?
You know, this is an interesting one. And sometimes I wonder if I'm too much of a cheerleader because I'm fully aware of what's going on the planet. And, you know, I, along with others, could easily go into a state of despair, easily. But you know, I don't even know if I can define with this little kernel of hope and light that I always have, but I do have it. And sometimes I've been in groups and it feels like we're not going anywhere, but I just say to myself, okay, I'm really the only person I'm in charge of, and the only person that I can tell what to do or not do, and or make a change. And I can encourage others, but really it has to begin with me. So I really need to walk, bike, whatever else, the talk, so to speak, walk the talk. And I'm not perfect. I have other things that I'm still working on, but I actually enjoy the challenge of doing some of these things. It's like, yeah, I can do that. Let's test it out. And then make it part of my life. Like the whole, I was explaining earlier about my tree going down, which was my air conditioner. And I sort of made this vow that I'm not ever getting air conditioning. Now, I did turn a fan on when it was 119. I will say that. But it's not that I'm not trying to suffer and be a martyr. I just like, okay, if we're talking about air pollution or carbon emissions, and we're saying, everybody needs to get an electric car, or we need all these new grids. It's like, what can we do individually? And so I ask myself, and then I come up with challenges, and then I do it. And hopefully I can share it with others and it rubs off. But I do actually enjoy a challenge. So I guess that's where the hope is. I feel like there's this little light of I could do nothing and I could go into a really state of depression, or could I come up with some solutions and do something and make a difference and ask others to join me and do that. I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I think it makes a difference.
Yeah, I hear you. You mentioned you are maybe like a cheerleader, and you really want to inspire people to, in a way, act for themselves, reflect on where there is a challenge, but face it with joy, and maybe changing some habits and think new, do new.
Yeah,
let's all be part of the change.
The solution. Yeah.
Now, and I like what you're saying, in a way, looking for a breakthrough, not a breakdown.
Exactly.
Yeah. We could easily go in
we
the
could do this.
Yeah, but we decide, maybe that's the invitation,
Yeah.
Speak out, see, and do everything that it is a breakthrough.
Right. And sometimes the things I do, I mean, they seem really small, but I'm just going, if everybody did the small thing, that's big.
And that is this shaping peace together, not waiting that somebody in government or somewhere does it decide for us, but we, the people, shape peace together in every moment. Yeah.
Right. And I would share, this is something that I've done personally. I'm still working on it. But it's being able to look at everyone and just almost everything and be present with it. I may not like everything I'm seeing. That doesn't mean I have to condone everything I'm seeing. I don't. I can discern from that, but almost to like recognize the beingness of everyone and everything. And I know we're all at a different stage. We come onto the planet. We've, have past history, and we're in different phases of evolution, so to speak. And, that's not always easy to do. And I will admit that for myself, but just to kind of grant that beingness. And when I do that, it's easier to shape peace when I do that. And so that's one thing I'm working on and continue to work on. And,
well, you're really an inspiration to the both of us. I think that, when we got our bicycles, I think it was likely because we kept seeing you on yours. And, it's a great joy to work with you, to have co-founded Ojai International City of Peace. And Lisa and I really look forward to sharing this video and others on Peace Day Monday.
Great.
So great thanks. Yeah, great thanks.
Thank you for everything you do here in the community, Kathy.
You're welcome. I will continue to do it. Not giving up.
Wonderful. We
Fantastic.
need that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're back live, and we're going to give ourselves a little stretch and a little movement. We'd like to share a little music right now. And this is from last year. Ray Powers playing his flutes. So I'm going to bring it up.
I'd like to welcome Mike Weaver to our Ojai International Day of Peace celebration with the 2020 theme, Shaping Peace Together. I met Mike as a man who tirelessly plants a field of peace as part of the Ojai Rotary Club. Mike represents for me a kind of inner stillness, being present, listening, and acting from that place. I look forward to hear more from Mike, being a peace advocate.
Great. And Mike, I'll read your bio so that people have a broader sense of who you are and what you're up to in life. So Mike has lived around the US and overseas during his 30-year career with a Fortune 500 corporation. He and his wife Susan moved to Ojai in 1998. He opened his consulting firm assisting small and medium-sized companies and serving as an interim executive to nonprofit organizations for the past 20 years. Mike joined Rotary in 1987, and since 1998, the Rotary Club of Ojai. He presently serves as the chair of the Peace Committee. Mike was past president of the club and served for several years as International Service Director and Treasurer of the Ojai Rotary Foundation. He has also been active in the district level, serving as District Peace Chair. He is current the Peace Fellow Advisor. Welcome, Mike Weaver. The theme for International Peace Day is Shaping Peace Together. From your experience, how best can we do so?
Well, thank you, Brian. I think that we all understand and really value peace. But today I'd like to talk about how exactly we go ahead and measure and do an analysis of what's lacking when we don't have peace. But today I'd like to talk to you about positive peace. Rotary International has been involved in peace since its beginning back in 1914. At our original convention, it established a resolution to aid in the advancement of international peace and goodwill. In 1917, in the midst of World War I, the Rotary Foundation was founded under the guiding principle to bring peace to the world. Rotary was pivotal in the foundation of the United Nations in their original meetings in San Francisco in 1945. In 1985, it initiated a worldwide program to eliminate polio around the world. In 1988, the Rotary president convened the first Rotary Peace Forum. In 2002, Rotary established international peace centers in 6 universities around the world. Since 2002, over 1,300 Peace Fellows have received master's or professional certificates in peace and conflict resolution and prevention from these 6 universities. But what is peace? The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights says all humans are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act toward one another in a spirit of brotherhood. How would we measure peace? The Institute for Economics and Peace started a program a few years ago, and Rotary is a partner with them in trying to assess how peaceful each country in the world is. And so annually they publish a global peace index to measure that the gains or losses in that degree of peacefulness in all 194 countries around the world. We're certainly aware of what we call negative peace, that is the absence of violence or the fear of violence. But the Institute, and with Rotary's assistance, has established what they call positive peace. That is defining peace in terms of the attitudes, institutions, structures that, when strengthened, lead to more peaceful society. Positive peace describes an optimum environment for humans to flourish. What are these 8 pillars of peace that they refer to? One being a sound business environment, economic conditions and the formal institutions that support operation of a private sector, good relations with neighbors, peaceful relations between community of nations facilitate trade and government cooperation. High levels of corruption are avoided because high levels of corruption really cause resources to be inefficiently allocated and result in lack of trust and confidence in institutions. A well-functioning government delivers high-quality public and civil services, engenders trust and participation, and demonstrates political stability and upholds the rule of law. High levels of human capital, skilled human capital, reflect willingness of a society to educate, train, and invest in their people. Acceptance of the rights of others. Formal laws guarantee basic human rights and freedoms, and informal social and cultural norms relate to behaviors of citizens. Free flow of information. Independent media allow open dissemination of information. And finally, equitable distribution of resources ensures the equitable assets to resources such as education, health, and capital. Rotary has been utilizing this analysis of positive peace to look at their areas of focus that they provide economic benefits to clubs to have grants that focus on 6 areas of trying to solve problems worldwide and domestically by looking at what is missing as well as what is present. We also can determine what additional things need to be done in order to make peace sustainable in these countries we work in. For the last 110 years, Rotary has been involved in the commitment and vision to promote peace. Rotary's People of Action have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects, from literacy and peace to water and health. We are always working to better our world and stay committed to that end. Locally, the Rotary Club of Ojai has been very active. A couple of years ago, we built what we call the Peace Pavilion at Matilla Hall Junior High. And in the celebration of opening that pavilion, we planted a peace tree that is taken from a surviving tree of the atomic bomb blast in Hiroshima, Japan. Our international service projects, we are active in 8 different countries around the world. These are 3 good examples. Dr. Bob Skanke has been involved for years in training midwives in the nomads in Niger, because there's no doctors, the high death rate of newborns and mothers has been almost eliminated in the nomad population there. Kay Bliss, Leslie Boucher, myself, we were in India a couple years ago, and we have a ongoing $87,000 grant that's just wrapping up at the Bashani School. That's for poor children in Puri. We also, several of us were in Bosnia to work with a women's cooperative in economic development so that they could be more successful in spreading their programs to other needy families, and particularly women who were actually survivors of the civil war that took place there 25 years ago. We've been involved in the Ojai Peace Day for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've really enjoyed working with the children in origami dove making, and our members have been actively involved in that program. This year, we partnered with the Ojai Unified School District to cooperate with Tiffany Morris, the new superintendent, who has introduced a program called Restorative Justice, which really establishes a set of values that the students can use to judge how they interact with each other and what is the right thing to do. Interesting that we found that it mirrors the Rotary four-way test, and so we were very happy to cooperate with Tiffany, who is also a member of our club now, to start a program of awarding 2 students a month for really showing that they have implemented these values in their own activities. This is one example where we provide the students 2 $50 checks. One that's for their use, and one for them to contribute to a nonprofit of their choice, starting hopefully a lifelong tradition of giving forward and giving back to the community. We recognize these children as Rotary Peace Ambassadors. So those are just a few of the things that we're working on. So I'd like to just leave you by just giving you an idea that to look at this as you may not be responsible for world peace, but you're responsible for your piece of peace. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's really beautiful to see the long history that Rotary Club has in peace and positive peace building, and having so many sustainable hands-on projects around the world. And here in Ojai, this Peace Pavilion, I just love it, and that you work with children to create awareness about implementing the values of positive peace in their daily life. Really beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, Mike, for me as well, having served in the Peace Committee, the local club, and now serving in the E-Club of World Peace, I'm happy that we were able to continue to partner with the local Rotary clubs and create a greater knowledge of positive peace in the world. So thank you very much. And we're just going forward with Peace Day, International Day of Peace. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so may all the seeds start to sprout and spread out in the world, that everyone has a piece of the peace you mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Lisa, do you want to say anything to introduce Kirsten Jensen?
Next interview we will listen to is about Kristen Jensen Dutch. She's a teacher, and she has the same challenge than every teacher right now, to teach through Zoom or other media, being connected with students through not in person. Let's see what she has to say. A warm welcome to Kristen Jensen Dutch. Thank you so much for being with us on the Ojai Day of Peace 2020 with the UN theme of Shaping Peace Together. So honestly, Kristen, I would have liked to have you as my teacher. You are so passionate, have your heart in the right place, and really care for students. You awake in me a sense of childlike wonder. So thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so So I'm thanking you too. And I'm going to just read a little bit of your bio here, just so people have a little broader idea. So Kristen Jensen Dodge, this is her 32nd year of teaching. My first 12 years were in elementary, kindergarten through 6th grade, and this will be my 20th year teaching 8th grade English language arts and AVID, which is a program for students who, like me, will be the first in their family to earn a university degree. My peace and justice work began in my 2nd year of college with Beyond War. I feel that I have been called to inspire young people to find the path of peace, both personally and societally. I'm honored to be an educator and to have never stopped learning. I am also extremely blessed to have found my soulmate later in life, as Lisa and I did. And we work jointly to create peace at home and in our larger community and world. Welcome, Kristen, and please share your approach to teaching for this challenging time for teachers, for parents and students.
Yes, I'm happy to do so. It's definitely been challenging, and I am very aware of my privilege in the fact that I've been able to receive a paycheck this whole time with my health benefits that so many people do not have. Many of my families, as a matter of fact, of my students. And so I'm very aware of that. And I'm also very lucky that I don't have any small children to tend to at home, just a small dog and a husband who is at work a lot. So I'm able to dedicate a lot of time. So over this summer, I was able to spend, I lost count at 80 hours, but well over 80 hours of my own personal time learning, attending multitude of webinars and online learning situations where I could really get a better handle on online distance teaching. I learned a lot, and I've been trying to implement it, and I have a very close group of colleagues who we are in a tech stream together, and we're constantly helping each other out, posing questions to each other. I mean, we really are, just as this year's United Nations theme of we're in this together. We really are, and it's we must shape the world that we need together. And so that has been made more apparent. And so I think that has, I see that in my 8th grade students. I see a kinder, more empathetic group of young people. They're more appreciative of their parents, of their lives than ever before. And I guess that makes a lot of sense when there's so much that's challenging and scary, and they're so isolated, and they're taking on a lot more responsibility. A lot of my kids are on their own all day long. And not only are they on their own, they're tending to 2, 3, 4 siblings who they are responsible for making sure that they go to school, that they get online and do classwork. And I am trying to hold a space for that compassion for everyone's situations, but also at the same time, keeping my standards very high, which I always have had high standards, knowing that they can rise to this occasion and they can accomplish so much. And in many ways, having to be so independent is going to be a lesson learned that will give them an edge in everything in the future as well. So as hard as it is right now, I've been having wonderful conversations in English y en español también, con los padres, with the parents, with the kids. Most of my students do speak enough English to handle conversation. Academic English is a little more challenging, but so I'm trying to support the best I can, but I will not lie when I say that there are times when it just becomes almost too much, and I broke down in tears. Was that yesterday? Yesterday was Wednesday? Yeah. Broke down in tears twice, not with students, but with other challenges that the people above us that aren't in the classroom, they don't quite understand the actual reality of what we're going through. But as I've communicated in staff meetings with my colleagues and with my leadership, we all have to have a lot of grace during these times with our students, with each other, with ourselves. I think it's hardest with yourself, especially when you're a person who expects a certain level of teaching to happen. This my language arts students. Sometimes I've done it with my AVID class as well. And we look at, it's a from Awakening the Dreamer generation waking up, and it's looking at all the world's problems and very intensely thinking about what caused this and how our thinking that we're all separated is really the biggest problem, because we're not separate. We're all connected. It's all connected. Everything's connected. Yeah. So when we look at that, and the rich responses I'm getting this year are just very heartening, that the kids are really, I feel, more, I mean, I've always seen 8th graders as very awakened. It's probably why it's my favorite grade level, because they are at that edge of, hey, I'm not a little kid anymore. Wow, I'm going to be an adult really soon. What is that going to be like? Who of all these adults in my life can I look to see that that's the model of an adult I want to be? And so it's a very time to be able to empower them, say, you are going to be the leaders in such a short amount of time. Where do you want to go? What do you want to make of this world, of yourself? With this kind of teaching that can happen.
Yes.
I thought, what can I do? So I just started looking in all my online platforms that I've learned over the summer, and some that I knew before. And I found one in particular that I am going to use. It's from a program called Nearpod. And all I did was punch into the search engine Peace Day. And this beautiful animated, short, but very, I think, powerful and accessible for all of my students, a little program. And that's how I'm going to start my class sessions, and on Monday. And then I am going to repeat Peace Day on Tuesday, because I only see half of my classes on Monday and then the other half on Tuesday. So I will also, in addition to that, I will post, the UN always has lovely International Peace Day videos that are quite lovely. And so I will find, I haven't done that yet, but I will find the links, and I will put the links on my I use Google Classroom. We're going to be using Canvas soon, but I'm not there yet. And so I'll post the links on my Google Classroom so that the kids can watch on the International Day of Peace a video about it and write a comment. I'm going to ask them to write a comment about how they see peace in their life, what makes them feel peace in their lives. So that's the plan right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you also mentioned about you use sound vibration of a Tibetan bowl. There it is.
I do indeed. Yeah. It's,
yeah.
And I always have in my classroom. I mean, always have. I have for many years in my classroom. When I, I guess year 2000, 1990 something, 97, I was having severe problems with depression. I was living in the Pacific Northwest and Seattle, and it was the weather was very hard on me. And so I ended up going to a Tibetan or a meditation center. And I found it so calming and so healing. And so I integrated that. And so this is one of the practices that I do use. So when the kids, I tell them, okay, everybody, let's get grounded, make sure that you're feeling comfortable with your posture, your hands in a relaxed place. We're going to take 3 elevator breaths. We're going to go up 3 floors. We're going to step out. We're going to step back in. That's when we hold our breath. And then we're going to go down 3 floors as we exhale. And then anybody who needs to stay and ask me any questions, please do stay. So I have been doing this at the end of class, though I do feel I need to add it at the beginning as well. So here we go. You can have cameras off. That's probably easier for you to not have to focus on anybody else. And I'll signal you. I hope that was as nice for you as it was for me. Thank you, and stick around if you need my help.
Okay.
Basically how it goes. And it does ground me too, and because then it's a quick thing. We go, we have these class sessions, hour and 15 minutes, and then we go to the next one. It goes straight to the next one. So if I stick with kids, I try to keep my lessons to no more than 45 minutes. That's really challenging. And then the kids need extra help. So then I'm going another 55, 60 minutes. And then I've got to run to the bathroom. And then I've got, so, whew, it's quite the whirlwind.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I hear the challenges you observe with your students. They take on one side much more responsibility, but they are also alone. They are appreciative, but they are challenged. Sometimes they have to take care for other siblings even. So, and now you are in this virtual classroom, and I have a question. Do you see sometimes like an emotional breakdown of a student, and you can include that in this virtual classroom? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so one of the things I learned is to have a social emotional check-in for kids right at the beginning. And then what I do is I have created Nearpod and Pear Deck. There's a lot of different programs that have these where you can just pop it up on your screen and the kids can go to this particular site and then they can anonymously put how they feel. And I've created Google Forms that do it. I put funny little memes. How do you feel today? Which meme matches how you feel today? Or which emoji matches how you feel today? And then I display the results anonymously. And so it's not anonymous to me. I know who answered what, but nobody else knows. And so it's been really lovely. So for instance, a pie chart will come up and I'll be able to say, oh my gosh, look, 58% of you are feeling sleepy. wow, yeah, I'm feeling a little sleepy too. And then, oh, 14% are feeling happy. That's really awesome. How lucky you are. And then 2% are feeling overwhelmed. I get that emotion, you know, and so I'm able to say you're not alone. Look how other people are feeling the way you're feeling, or if nobody else, if they're the only one, I'll say, yes, you know, because I have experienced, of course, all those emotions. We all have, we're all humans. So
Yeah.
I'm able to try to connect, and then I can follow up with kids right after. I'll just say, oh, can I have these, you know, and they don't know why I'm asking them to stay necessarily, but then I'll just wait until everybody else is gone, or I'll chat to them privately in the chat. Hey, I hope you're okay, and please come at I have an afternoon little session that's optional. And so please come to my afternoon. It's called the Scholar Success Session. Come to my afternoon session, and I'd love to, if you want to just talk, or, you know, if I can help release some of your sense of overwhelm, I would love to help with that kind of thing.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, you've given a lot of insights into how people can include other aspects to their teaching world, to their coping with this condition. And we'll be sharing this with the community, and then we'll be posting it on our website. So may it be a viral message of peace in the classroom and empowering kids to take leadership.
I certainly hope so. I have to say, to all those people out there watching this who are teachers, you know, you are so valued. And it's easy to forget, especially if you get that one negative thing that happens from an administrator or a parent who gets upset at you or whatever. Please know that people really do respect educators, the majority. And there's just a small number of people, and everybody's stressed. So,
yeah. Okay.
And I appreciate that you shared, you meet with your colleagues, you are in a way connected, you have some team support, which is needed too. It's, you know, the students need it, but you need it too. You know.
We're all in this together, shaping peace together, peace in the classroom, peace in our homes, peace in the community, absolutely together.
Okay, in this view, thank you again. And
yeah, thanks so much.
Blessings to your work.
Namaste.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So here we again, live. Thank you for joining us on this Worldwide Peace Day, here coming from Ojai, with local speakers and extended speakers, all inspiring and peace advocates. So we have actually 2 more videos, and please bear with us. One will be a wonderful surprise with a prize. So Brian, are you ready? I'd like to welcome Ray Powers as a fellow peace advocate here in Ojai and as a partner of Ojai International City of Peace since 2015 here in Ojai. Working with Ray, oh my God, I so much admire his many faceted talent. I love his precision. He wants to understand and he listens. He speaks up and puts the finger on uncomfortable issues. And he deeply cares about the future of the earth. I'm so looking forward to hear Ray's insight about shaping peace together, the UN theme for 2020. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a little bit of your bio so that people who don't know you might have a little broader sense. So Ray Powers calls his lifelong body of work simple brilliance. This philosophy is expressed and applied through transformational coaching, mentoring, writings, and environmental activism. As well, he is a skilled composer, vocalist, and photographer. A meditator for close to 50 years, his perspectives, practices, and insights have helped youth, adults, and business leaders. He's been a resident of Ojai, California since 1999 and has served on the Ojai City Planning Commission, Ojai International Cities of Peace, and Ojai Green Coalition, contributing towards the long-range goals of a sustainable, resilient community. Welcome, Ray.
Hi, Brian.
And I'm just going to ask, really, what gives you hope for the earth and our youth today? From your experience, how best can we move forward?
My mother turned 100 years old last week. That's a milestone. I was talking to her the day before her birthday, and I asked her what advice would she give to a 20-year-old, and what would she say to them if they were concerned about the state of the world and had some fears around that and had lost hope. And my mother, who's always been very pragmatic and not very verbose like her son, replied to me. She said, do what you like to do and choose a career that you enjoy doing. And then regarding hopes, she said, you can never lose your hopes. Surround yourself with those who have the same concerns and interests as you do. I really thought that was very wonderful, pragmatic advice, not just for 20-year-olds.
Right, there's a lot of wisdom there.
And I had never really heard her speak to that before. Like I said, she's not a woman of very many words, so I have to prompt her to share. But it had me certainly reflect on my life and the people I surrounded myself with throughout my life, and the activities I've engaged in that have always been things I enjoy and that naturally draw me. And I think that's where this idea of simple brilliance comes along too, is that innate genius and intelligence that we each have, and know what our direction and path is, really. Even if we think we don't, there's always something within us that's moving and guiding us forward. That's our natural way of being, if you will. And that will then have us be discerning regarding who we surround ourselves with. So for me, it was the environment and music, and knowing how important mentors are. So your question regarding hopes for the earth and the youth, this idea of mentorship, of those of us who are older, embracing the two-way street of respect with youth. I may not understand their concerns and their thoughts and their interests, or they may have more skills and abilities in certain areas because those weren't available when I was a youth. So it's so important for us people who are of an older generation to be curious about the youth and their perspective and their solutions and their vision, to engage them and invite them in to participate with us.
Yeah, Ray, when I was with Jerry Jampolsky, he, Center for Attitudinal Healing, one of the principles was that we're students and teachers for each other. There was
always, right?
There was an equality there. Yeah.
Yes. And, we want to be real about it, that, given experience, just life years on earth, our skill sets our life skills, not necessarily our skill sets, but our life skills, hopefully our emotional maturity and intelligence is more advanced. But nonetheless, I get very excited and enthused when younger people want to come play and become involved in as peacemakers, as environmental activists. We see that in XR youth, the Extinction Rebellion youth here in Ojai and well throughout the world, and what kind of energy Greta Thunberg has been able to manifest, this wave of energy. Because what I find happening, I don't know about you, but what I find happening in speaking with people, mostly between 25 and 35, is they're kind of wanting to create a whole nother reality, like a different paradigm, rather than try to, and it's not right or wrong, but rather than looking at the current system, which definitely has failed a lot of people in terms of economic, social justice, the environment, our business practices, how that's fed into that. I mean, we have systemic problems. They're not isolated. There's a symbiosis between all these cultural and societal challenges. And so some of the young people I talk to want to simply not engage and are focused on healing their relationship and connection to the earth by learning farming skills and gardening skills and natural building skills, social experiments in terms of community living and things like that, which I think are fantastic. And the very beginnings of possibly a new curve. It's interesting. We have possibility and we have probability, and we kind of have pragmatism, and that all kind of has to work together. But I think in terms of shaping peace, this idea of healing our relationship with the planet is at a key, because this notion of man's dominion over Earth has caused a lot of stress and a lot of inequity, and also has used up a lot of resources. And so we've created in the Western world these lifestyles that rely on a lot of resources, but there's been a short-term gains without a long-term vision necessarily. And so, well, you and I have spoke about this, peace is such a broad word, and peace, like love, is a verb. So peace shows up in action. Not just externally, internally as well. Peace is an inside job. And that also is a verb, because we have to take the time to sit and meditate or reflect. And as Einstein said, find the right question. If you were told you had an hour to solve a problem because your life depended on it, Einstein said he would take 55 minutes of that hour to discover the right question. And then he would only need 5 minutes to solve the problem. So that question, that curiosity of what does it take to shape peace? The crux of the matter is, what's the right question to be asking? I'm not saying I have it, but it's being in that inquiry, that powerful inquiry with ourselves and with each other. What is the right question to be asking that then will birth the most empowering and radical shift in our consciousness. Because we really are talking about a consciousness shift when it comes down to it. Not so much with youth, I will say. Only because the older we get, our imprinting gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The older we get, the more we think we're right. The older we get, everything's moving potentially slower. The older we get, it might take more to rattle the cage to wake up our consciousness into a different way of being or a different way of relating. With youth, you know, the frontal lobe is still developing until you're what, 21, 25, something like that. So there, you know, the way that information is being processed and the way the consciousness can be expanded is much more malleable in that way. I mean, I feel very blessed that, you know, I was taught to meditate when I was 12 by a camp counselor, because, you know, those were the times in the late 60s, right? So, but, you know, I'm so grateful to Sparky for teaching me how to meditate, because that's been with me ever since, to like, oh, you know, I don't have to be moving all the time. I don't have to be thinking all the time. I can just sit here under a tree and let things come to me.
I really want to, you know, honor the pointers you give. So I'd like to go back to the message your mom gave you for her 100th birthday, to stay in hope, which means not to give up. And I think that's a very important question, as so many, or message, as so many people are in a way a little hopeless or overwhelmed with what's going on in the world. So, and you brought up, bringing up the right question. What is the question? So there is this curiosity. You engage yourself. You be still, engage and inquire yourself. You like to build the bridge between the elder, being honored as an elder, but also honoring the youth and working with them to find the right solution, ask the right questions. And like here with Peace Day, how to shape together. So you build the bridge, let's say, between your mother, who is 100 years, and the youth you work with here in Ojai community. You're very active on many layers of ages and diversity. So I really, it's very inspiring, you know, your approach, the scale you offer.
Yeah.
You know, it's really simple if we attempt to listen twice as much as we speak. And if we really learn to listen to each other, then compassion and empathy can become created. Then our individual lives and experiences also are there's then a realization that there's universal experiences. There's our individual stories of how we've grown up. I can't fully relate to someone who's in a war-torn country and bombs are falling on them. But there's universals that we share as human beings as well. And those universals are, you know, empathy and compassion. We all want to be loved, and we all want to love our sustenance. And it ties back to what I said earlier, that we can't isolate economic, social justice, and the environment. They're all one. We can't address, in the Green Coalition, we can't address our sustainability and resilience in the Ojai Valley without also addressing social justice and those underserved communities. It all has to be looked at all at once. And then that brings up the question, what is the crux? You know, what is wanted and needed versus us deciding what's wanted and needed, finding out, being curious what's wanted and needed.
Yeah. Thank you, Ray. That really sums it up with this holistic view that it's all connected. And so as we move forward, we are shaping peace together. So thanks for your partnership, and I really welcome any additional input as we move forward together here in Ojai. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do here in the community. You're really
Likewise.
a strong pillar.
Yeah, same to you too.
Thank
you.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you
Bye
later.
for now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to welcome Evan Austin and Lenny Crawford to our 2020 Ojai International Peace Day celebration. Surprise, surprise.
Evan, I'm just going to say that the award, the Ojai Peace Coalition's exclusive Nobel Peace Prize, has been awarded annually since 2007 in conjunction with International Day of Peace. Could you share with our listeners your views on the theme, Shaping Peace Together, and how it relates to the next Nobel Prize winner?
Sure, of course. Thank you for having us. So my thoughts are, I think, two in number. The first is that the genesis or the birth of the Ojai Peace Coalition in the beginning, which was, I think, 2005, was completely about the idea of feeling isolated, feeling alone myself, and having a hope or a wish that there was a larger community out there that I simply hadn't yet tapped into, that was interested in taking active, visible, actions in support of building peace. And so it's so much in keeping with that theme, Shaping Peace Together. It was entirely about that, about feeling alone and feeling like together we could come together, we could have a bigger, more visible presence, and any action that we chose to take, whether that was writing letters or marching or, protesting or whatever, would have more power together. So absolutely this fits in that way. As far as our recipients, I'll speak in general and then about this year's awardee. The idea of the Nobel Peace Prize is to kind of make superstars out of people who are working for peace, partly because there's an inherent, I don't know what to call it, maybe a reticence or an inherent shying away from the spotlight most of the time, I find, in peace work. We affect what circles we can. Obviously, we are trying to make change, but the peace workers that I meet most of the time aren't after a spotlight. And there's something that makes total sense about that, of course. And there's something beautiful about that. If it becomes too much about an individual, then it starts to lose something. And I'm okay with being sort of on the other side of that and saying, at least maybe within this community, let's shine a light on these people and hold them up, if only for a moment, and broaden, the voice and the visibility that they have. And so I'll hold this up so we can see it. You'll see that the Nobel Peace Prize emblem prominently features a torch. And so that is about both sort of the active, dynamic, passionate nature of the work, and it's about shining light on those awardees so that more people can see what they're doing. And so Lanny Coffer fits this perfectly in my mind. Lanny has been personally about peace in every facet that I can see since I've known him, and the work that I know that he does and has done has always been about this theme, shaping peace together. It's never been about him himself. It's never been about shying away. It's always been about connecting people, bringing people together, whether it's music, whether it's marches, whether it's his herb walks. Everything that I can see that Lanny does is all about togetherness and bringing more people into awareness of themselves, of each other, of our natural world. It just fits so well. And I'm so happy that we have Lanny and that we're able to make this work virtually to be able to honor Lanny and still present this award this year.
Yes, would you like?
Go into his work for peace and how he relates to the topic. I want that, I think, to be Lanny's. So you can take it away, Lanny.
Okay. Well, first, let me just say that it's an honor to be selected for this award. It's certainly not something that I had in mind, as I've done the different things that I've been doing. And I have to say, I don't really see myself these days as a full-on peace activist, but I guess as I thought a little bit today about what I might say in accepting this award, it occurred to me that peace, that love, nonviolence are really at the heart of everything that I believe in, and kind of the thread that weaves together all the different things that I do and have done with my life. I've had some overt peace actions, and I guess I have to thank my parents and my teachers when I was a kid for putting me on this path. I remember growing up in the 60s and having a social studies teachers that made us aware of what was going on, which was the early days of the civil rights movement. We're talking 1960, 1961. And at the same time, I wrote a term paper on Gandhi. And the combination of that and watching what Dr. King was doing really influenced me, so that around the same time, in 1964, that I turned 18, I filed as a conscientious objector with the draft board, and I also joined Dr. King's SCOPE project to register voters in the South. So that really, made an activist out of me for my whole life. I guess I'd have to say it really shaped my whole life. And so much of it was being able to be part of a team of people. Yes, I was acting individually as a conscientious objector, and I had to go by myself and face the draft board and the hearings and, contemplate, what my fate might be individually. But I knew that I was not alone, that there was a movement of people at the time that felt the same way. And there had been many conscientious objectors before me. And I certainly was part of a team. I was just a small cog in Dr. King's team of nonviolent workers in the civil rights movement. And that was the formative experience of my life. Experiencing what a group of people committed to justice and nonviolence could accomplish. And our project was really successful. And, we registered enough voters, and I was still fighting my battle to be a conscientious objector, and I joined the anti-war movement, which was quite active in California at the time. And marched and, did the things that we did to turn the tide of public opinion against the war. And one of the things I realized early on is that it's not always the big actions and, being in the newspaper, carrying a poster. And I know this sounds trite, but it's the little things we do every day just to spread goodwill, to acknowledge other people, to listen to other people, which is kind of the ultimate acknowledgement for someone else, just to know that you're really listening to them. And that's the beginning of nonviolent communication. And without nonviolent communication, no matter how many movements and organizations and how much funds we raise, we're not going to have peace on a larger scale. I still believe in peace. I still believe in world peace because I believe in people. And I believe that people universally want basically the same things. They want to be happy. They want to be able to fulfill themselves. They want something productive to do. They want people to love and to be loved. They want to have a family. These are universal family traits, human traits as part of the human family. And these little actions that we take every day, even though they may be hidden by the mainstream news that's mostly bad news, those little actions are really what make the difference. They're, the proverb about throwing a pebble in a pond and the ripples that go out. So I've hoped that I've created a few ripples along the way. I know, Evan mentioned, feeling like wanting to get more involved with peace back in 2005. And that was the year that he joined me in putting on my second annual Peace Fest in Libby Bowl. He did the artwork and was instrumental in helping to make that happen. Yes, it was short-lived, but like I say, you never know when you toss that little pebble into the pond, who it's going to touch and how it's going to influence people along the way. So I'm grateful for all the teachers and compadres that I've had on my team along the way, especially Dr. King, who I was very fortunate to be able to meet when he came to visit our project in Virginia in 1965. And I hope in my own small way to continue doing the work. And I hope that this medal will be an inspiration to me for at least the next year, if not longer, to continue to speak up and continue to live the values that I believe in, that I think are the human values of compassion, kindness, that I think are instrumental in ultimately reaching peace on a larger scale.
Thank you so much, Lenny. I think you are such an inspiration for everyone, what you stand for. And what I hear you really, these are the little steps every day of goodwill, to listen to people, to acknowledge the other, practice nonviolent communication, the little action steps. And I really hear that you believe in the goodness, the basic needs we all have, and that connects us all. And that is part of who you stand for. So thank you for being this in Ojai, for an inspiration without even, I think you know about it. But clearly, as long as I know you, there is so much trust and hope that you represent. Thank you so much. I think Evan did choose
I echo that, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I echo your words, Lisa. We're so fortunate to have Lanny here with us. We're closer to the origin of the pebbles he throws in, and that feels good. And all of you, Lanny used the word compadres, and I think mentors, and I think it was so right to start your story, Lanny, before yourself, and acknowledge your parents and other teachers, and that's true for all of us. And I appreciate that reminder in myself to look at the three of you, for instance, as mentors to me, and think about other people who also fill that role, and that those ripples are still going. That's a great metaphor to keep a hold of. Thank you. You know, guide you through the next year or however long. I appreciate you saying that, because that's what I hope. That's what I hope it is. I hope it's a little something that says not only we appreciate you, but that it can be a little reminder that we appreciate you, and a reminder when you are in, you know, quiet moments alone, that little physical object sort of carries us all to saying thanks and keep going. Yeah.
It appears that we're living in dark times, and I'm sure that people have said that many times in human history. And at the same time, for some crazy reason, I have hope that humans, you know, that the human family is waking up to its true heritage and its true future, which is to become a one human family. Right. And we have all the tools, the technology to do that now. It's just going to take the will, and probably some younger generation that has that knows how to manipulate all this technology in a better way to get us all connected and able to speak and to support each other.
Breakthrough versus breakdown. So pointing towards what you were saying, Lenny, like, let's wake up as one humanity.
Right. And that's another reason for me why the theme works so well here, is because what I find is that nobody can sustain that level of energy, that level of hope constantly, right? My experience is we wax and we wane. And when we're a part of a community, a family, a tribe, if my energy, you know, starts to go down, my hope goes down. Not only are there other people around me that can help lift me back up, but there are other people carrying on the work when I have to take a step back and rest and say, today is not happening for me. So there again, shaping peace together requires that community and that family.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Cyber hug to you.
Yeah,
indeed.
Okay, this is really a great way to complete our program. And thank you all very much. I think we'll call this a close, and may peace prevail. Thank you all.
Happy Peace Day.
Thank you. Happy Peace Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There
Congratulations.
It is. Yes.
Congratulations. Peace be with you guys. Well, thank you all for staying with us. And we do have a bonus, one more brief presentation of one of the performances from last year that will bring to your heart the words of Rumi, Hafiz, and the beautiful inspirational words from Dr. Fatah Evans. Is our
things that I'm going to share with you are about cultivating peace in ourselves, which is very essential because every day is an overload. And we could be disturbed, and we could be angry, and we could have a lot of fear. Fine, notice it and feel it. And then embody our true nature, our true and more essential self. And so if you please listen with your body, don't figure the words out, because everything that is going to be spoken here and with the flute is touching the imaginal realm in yourself. And therefore, we also have the collective body. So we come together with that so that we become one heart in this process. Thank you. is like a mountain. Our echo depends upon us. If we shout out good things to the universe, good things come back. If we change ourselves, we change the world. One night, I went out to welcome the moon, or be welcomed by the moon, actually. And I said, "Oh, moon, you shine so brightly and lovingly again. Have you anything to share?" She said, "Yes. Transcendence, immanence. So empty yourself of everything that is not you. And in that emptiness, you will then be revealed your embodied fullness. And that light reflected, the light of the one, the light of the sun, is the gratitude of the one." The wine of grace, the wine of grace is limitless. The wine of grace is limitless. All limits can refer to the fault of a cup. Moonlight floods the entire night sky from horizon to horizon, and how much it fills up your room depends upon the windows. So, friends, grant great dignity the cup of your life. For eternal love has fashioned it to contain that eternal wine.
Yes, thank you for those beautiful words, Fatah. And thank you, Lisa, partners, in this presentation. Thank you for the listeners who have been willing to stay with us in front of a computer for so many hours. We have a lot of gratitude that we can live in a city of peace and share our love and our light with so many here. Lisa?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So we are one heart, like Dr. Fatah Evans just said, one heart, from our hearts to your heart. And let's shape together peace and, yeah, deep gratitude for everyone. So blessings, my love, our love, and let's stay connected.
Thank you. So tomorrow I will be putting these individual interviews and music on this page, Ojai International City of Peace, and our YouTube channel, Ojai International City of Peace, already has these individual videos. And tomorrow I will also put it on our ojaipeace.net website. So more work to do, but with a joy in my heart to share these peaceful messages with all of you, and deep gratitude for this platform and I learned a lot tonight. Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, peace in all directions. Happy
All
Peace
right.
Day.
I'll be signing off now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.